Infinite Wealth is the 9th major game in the Yakuza Like a Dragon series and is the second to be a turn-based RPG, coming right off of the heels of its predecessor. With it being the second turn-based RPG, RGG Studio really took the time to improve the gameplay in nearly every way possible. The main thing is that you can now move your characters in battle, though only within a radius, though this radius does become bigger as you level up. This gives so many opportunities now to set up for certain attacks, hitting certain groups of enemies, or if you're trying to get a weapon attack in. Other features also flow with the movement nicely, like back attacks. Attack an opponent with their back turned to you and you'll do more damage. However, the enemy can also do this to you, so you have to be careful. You can also now do combo attacks with your party members. They simply have to have a high enough bond level with you and you have to do their drink link in order to have access to these moves. They're just simple combo attacks, not much, but really drives home that the party's helping each other out in any way possible. Also returning is that your fellow party members will do a follow-up attack if they have a high enough bond. Kiryu and Kasuga also have these team-up special attacks that they can do with other party members. Unlike Yakuza 7, which require the tag team moves to use MP, in this game you have a special bar that needs to be filled up. With Kasuga, if everyone's bar is filled up, then you can do a party-wide attack, using up every bar while attacking every enemy. On the other hand, Kiryu has Dragon Resurgence, which is basically the Kiryu gameplay from 0 through 6, with him running around the battle and attacking at will. I love that they were able to incorporate the action gameplay from the older games with Kiryu, as it still feels weird to me that the series is now turn-based, and would feel very odd if Kiryu wasn't able to roam around in some way. Another minor thing that they added in combat was that you can see where your attacks are going to hit. Let's say you have an AoE attack. In this game, it will show you the radius of the attack, letting you strategize that much more, or if you have a charge attack, it'll show where the charge is going to go. You also now get MP back when using a basic attack, something a lot of RPGs are doing nowadays. It's not too much, but at times it can feel a bit too much, since I never really came close to running out of MP, and I hardly use any MP items throughout the game, up until the final push. The downside of the combat, however, is getting rid of the ability shortcuts. In the last game, you could assign an ability to a button, and you could hit that button to use the ability, meaning you don't have to scroll through the menu. While I personally never use this feature, it is very odd to get rid of it, especially considering all the other improvements they made to the combat and how much crowd control is a big part of the game. Getting abilities off in a hurry is very important in this game. The job system also makes a return from the previous game, with some new ones and others left behind. Other than everyone's starting job being the same, only jobs returning are the host, the chef, breaker, idol, and night queen. Every other job is brand new, and I like that, giving this game a bunch of exclusive jobs, making it feel like a different game, especially given that the game takes place in an entirely different country. Now, I didn't try every job, and I did that with the last game as well. I kind of find what I like and go from there. I use Desperado, Samurai, Geodancer, Pyrodancer, Linebacker, and Tennis Ace. It dawned on me that I used both DLC jobs about halfway through the game, but I never really knew that they were DLC jobs until I started using them. I just liked both of them. Both were really good. It is a shame they're behind a paywall though, because they're really good jobs. I kept Sayako, Kiryu, and Han Jungi with their starting jobs, since I like them too much. Also, it's Kiryu, he should only have one job. Also, you can inherit skills from other jobs the character has had if their bond level is high enough. You get 10 skill slots, unlocking from every 10 bond levels. Yes, bond levels do go up to 100, but it doesn't seem that hard to get. I got to maybe like 80 or 90 with a few people, and that's with doing like no grinding. A little grinding, I lied. I did do a bit of grinding, my bad. At level 100, you can inherit a Kiwami attack, indicated by the rainbow in the slot. Outfits also make a return, letting you customize your party how you see fit. You can either keep them in the job outfit with a different design, keep them in their normal outfit, or pick an entirely different one. With Hawaii being a part of the game, each character has a swimsuit outfit, or if you're feeling a bit nostalgic for the previous game, you can put the characters in their Yakuza 7 outfits. Once you've beaten the game and return to it, you can actually wear the job outfits outside of battle, which I like, a little reward for beating the game. To briefly get into this, there's a few new minigames added. There are the Sujimon League and Dondoko Island. Sujimon League is literally just Pokemon. Beat the Elite Four, beat the champion, and you win. I didn't do much besides the first boss to unlock the job. I didn't feel the need to play this since I don't really want to play an RPG inside of my RPG. If this was like, Yakuza 5 or Yakuza 6, I could maybe see them putting in this Digimon League. But with this being an RPG, I don't really want to do another RPG, if you kind of understand. Dondoko Island is essentially Animal Crossing. You head to a resort island that's been overrun with trash due to pirates, and you have to take the responsibility of building it back up. You do this by collecting bugs, wood, stone, fire, and other things in order to build things, which will attract more people to the island, raising its popularity. This minigame's fine, nothing too exciting, but it did get rather tedious to me after a few hours. It's really just a grind fest to rank up. I did get the first rank to 1 star, and I had guests over once, but I didn't really do it again. There is a storyline with both of these, and maybe one day I'll come back, but I wasn't in a rush to do these. As with all Yakuza games, sub-stories are a big part of the game, but along with those, there are different kinds of sub-stories, focusing on Kiryu and his past. These exist due to story reasons that will be covered later. As always, sub-stories are fun and easy to get through, with a lot of them being voice acted now, which I don't know if they did that in the previous game or not. I'm unsure. My memory's a little hazy. The first sub-story that comes to mind for this game is the Snowfall one, where Kasuga helps an older man's dying wife see snow for the final time. Another one is the fight with Asakusa. Always love me some one-on-one fights, even if it's a turn-based RPG here. Performance-wise on PC, game runs good. I have a 3060 and was getting around 80 or so FPS near max settings. Only times it would chug would be in Hawaii at like the beginning of the game, or when I was using Adachi's tag team move for some reason. Game looks really pretty, best looking in the series. I played with Japanese dub because that's what I've always done with this series, but I've heard the English dub is really good, so have at it. OST is banging as always with the Yakuza series, thanks to the main series composer Hidenori Shoji, but also many others, whose names are on screen right now. My favorite part of the OST is when they bring back the OG battle theme when you get to Kamurocho. A lot of the top themes to me are battle themes or themes that hit right before a battle, getting me ultra hyped for the fight, even if the fight is pretty easy. For the story, I don't want to go too much into it, except for the ending, because I have a lot of thoughts about the ending. But to briefly go over the story, it revolves around Kasuga going to Hawaii to meet his mother, Akane, after the Japanese people were lied to about him trying to help former Yakuza members. They were told he was stealing from people in order to help them, when in reality he was simply trying to get the Yakuza members jobs after the Great Dissolution. Kasuga goes off to Hawaii and shenanigans ensue. He meets up with Kiryu, who is also looking for Akane since the Daidoji, the organization Kiryu works for, is also looking for her. Turns out finding Akane is a lot harder than originally seemed, as the entire island's underworld is after her, including the Overseer. So that's the basic plot of the game. Now I'm going into endgame stuff, so spoiler warning is in full effect. If you haven't played the game, I would leave. The big thing about this game is Kiryu and his looming death, since it's revealed early on in the game that he has gotten cancer and was given roughly 6 months to live. The game then teases the entire time that this is going to be his final game, showing him being exhausted in scenes after big segments, literally fighting to exhaustion and being captured by the enemies. There's also this side thing you get with Kiryu once you go back to Japan called Memoirs of a Dragon. These are basically flashbacks to previous games, taking players down memory lane. While it isn't much, these are really nice, especially if you're someone who's played every game up to this point. It even shows some love to Dead Souls, Kenzan, and Ishin, which is really cool, considering Dead Souls and Kenzan haven't been re-released yet, and Kenzan is a Japanese-only game. Alongside these, there are drink links with Date, where Date is trying to get Kiryu to see people from his past, trying to get him to understand just how much people cared about him. These are some of the best things in the whole game to me, as you get to see where all these old characters have been up to since their previous game. The best ones are the last two with Akiyama and Haruka. I don't think I need to explain why these two are so good, even if Kiryu doesn't meet up with Haruka, which is what Date wanted to do. There's this incredibly great speech from Haruka about how she doesn't want to see Kiryu if he was alive, since that would seem like a failure, and how she needs him in order to survive, even though that doesn't really happen, but we'll get to that. So with all that, turns out Kiryu doesn't die, even with the game teasing it at the end with him passing out on top of the final boss after giving this incredibly great speech about forgiveness. I believe that this speech was not only intended for the final boss, but also for Kiryu. He's trying to convince himself to get treatment for the cancer, find a way to survive. Throughout the whole game, Kiryu has basically admitted defeat to the cancer, saying that treatments weren't working and that there's no reason to fight it. That's also what all the Date business was about, trying to convince him to live on, even if he can't see anybody anymore due to his agreement with the Daidoji. So after the credits, you see Haruka and Haruto stroll up to an empty hospital room, which is already wild considering the speech she gave when meeting Date. This makes sense if you don't do the Date stuff. But if you do the Date stuff, this is just like contradicting herself. Maybe she was acting tough in front of Date, but she truly does want to meet him, but that doesn't really seem like Haruka. They stroll up to this room and find out that it is Kiryu's room, who is using his actual name now, not going by Joryu or even Taichi Suzuki. You then cut to Kiryu in the wheelchair looking awful, and confirming with the doctor that his name is indeed Kiryu, after going through this whole game and all of Gaiden trying to convince everyone that he wasn't Kiryu. This sequence pisses me off. One, it continues to ruin the ending of 6, which I thought was really good. Kiryu gets to leave his life as a Yakuza member in order to protect his family, all by faking his death. Seems like something a Yakuza member would do, and makes sense for Kiryu since all he wants is to protect the ones he loves. Now, no one believes his death as we've learned, but still, it's protecting his family, it's doing what it's supposed to do. Yakuza 7 does ruin it by bringing him back, but that seemed more like a mentorship with Kasuga, having Kasuga prove himself. This game doesn't tell you he's going to die, but it's implied so hard that it really is upsetting that he doesn't. I guess I don't really understand the point of faking his death in 6, then getting a whole new cast in 7, just to bring him back here as the main guy in 8. Cause let's be real, he's the main character in this game. He gets the final boss, he gets the final scene. Kasuga is not the main character. But to tease Kiryu's death the whole game, fake everyone out on the end, just to not do it, also while showing Haruka and Haruto are back, I just hate it. Let the man die and move on. You had the perfect opportunity in 7, no need to bring him back, because the series showed that you can do a whole story without him in 7. Sure, the story relies on him a little bit in 7, but he's not the main thing in 7. He's basically only there for the Great Dissolution. This also really takes away from Kasuga's part of the story, as the game doesn't even end with him. Sure, you have that nice sequence of him and Eiji after the final boss, but it never feels like Kasuga is the main character after him and Kiryu split up. Once they split up, I care more about Kiryu's story than Kasuga's. There's also a reason why Kiryu shouldn't have been brought back at all. Who am I going to care about more? The guy I've been following from 0 through 6 and Gaiden? Or am I going to care about the new guy who's already being shafted 2 games into his trilogy? Like, they even changed up the battle system, the genre of the game, to be like, hey, we're not with the old crew anymore, we're with this new crew. Then they keep bringing back the old crew. Like, I understand they're an integral part of the story, but you can still do a story without them. It was proven. Also, the final boss sequence and the final scene are both with Kiryu, like I said before, not Kasuga. And again, it's probably going to be like this in the following game too, because there's 0% chance they're going to kill Kiryu off screen. That would be disrespectful as fuck to everyone. To tease his death in 6, bring him back in 7, tease it again in 8, bring him back in 9. Like, what's going on? They even have Gaiden in between 7, 8 to like bridge a gap. Like, they literally have a spin-off game to tell you what Kiryu has been up to in between 6 and 8. They just can't let this guy go. And it's really frustrating because I love Kiryu, but also it's kind of time to move on, I think. Let him go. We have new characters, a whole new cast, which are very nice, very lovely. They even bring back Majima, Saejima, and Dojima again. And you fight all of them again. They just can't let it go. I don't know, it's just really, this is the first time I've really hated an ending to one of these games. Like, sure, 4's ending was kind of meh due to the bosses, but this is the first one I've truly 100% just hated so much. Like, I'll still buy all the games because I love this series, but this ending just isn't doing it for me. So with all that said and done, I still really enjoyed this game. This game's a very good turn-based RPG. It improves on the systems of the old game, mostly, but the ending leaves a lot to be desired for me. I still love the series, and I'll play the next game, and the next game, and the next game. But this is the first time I've not enjoyed an ending to one of these games. Hopefully the next game fixes that, but we won't know until that time. Thank you all for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you like the content, subscribe, follow the Patreon if you want to. There's not a lot on the Patreon right now, as I've kind of been away for a while. Sorry if the script feels a little rushed. I don't have a lot of time to record audio, so I just have to get this in when I can. But I really do appreciate you sticking around to the end. With all that, I'll see you next time. Take care.